Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast. Strap yourself in, get a pen and paper, because you're going to love this episode. Today's episode is one of my most favourite people in the world. I feel like I say that all the time, but clearly this person is one of your most favourites also, because he has the most downloaded episode of all time. In fact, he has a few of the most downloaded episodes. I'm talking about the amazing Tony Ebel. Now, in the past, Tony has shared some of the great strategies that he has used to fill his practice, from running workshops to Facebook ads. But in today's episode, we're talking all about retention. And retention is one of those areas of marketing that's often ignored, because we get super excited about bringing new people in, is that sometimes we don't focus as much energy at keeping people. Now, Tony shares, man, he goes into the weeds with this. There's lots of really great implementable strategies. In fact, when I finished this episode, I was walking the dog, Conan. He's over the back here with my wife, Lauren, and we've already worked out two things that we're going to start in our practice immediately as well. So he shares three really powerful strategies, but simple strategies for you to implement into your practice that'll help you keep your people for longer and have them increase your referrals, all those kind of things there. This is a fabulous episode. I can't wait to actually listen to it again. So let's jump on in and listen to the amazing Tony Ebel.
Welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast, where we guide natural health and wellness experts through the pitfalls of marketing. Each episode, you'll learn simple, effective, easily actionable, and heart-centered marketing strategies. And here's your host, Angus Pyke.
Tony Ebel, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. I've never been. This is new. Thank you for having me again, man. This is awesome.
Is it 3 or 4 times?
I don't know. I was watching your Instagram today, and I was like, carry the 2. I have no idea.
Maths. Let's not get into maths, particularly when you're going to podcast, recording, all those kind of things. Maths when trying to record. So it's great to see you, buddy. You look really well. How's life for you?
So good. It is summertime over here. We had the farm that the kids are out on. So it's birthday parties and it's farm parties and it's practice parties. We're living it up really well.
Yeah, buddy. I have so much envy because it's summer over there. It's winter here.
Right.
2, you seem to be kind of roaming around with a level of freedom and just gay abandon. And, and on top of that too, I have this amazing kind of barn envy. You have this stunning barn, and then there's these cute as heck little kind of donkeys and stuff that you've got going in them. So at the moment, it seems like you're living my dream life.
We do. There's too many donkeys, 5 dwarf goats. There's a beautiful, the original 75-year-old barn that was here on our property. We were able to restore it and did not know how it was going to turn out, but it couldn't have been better. So yeah, if the rest of the world is going to shut down, this is a pretty good place to hang out while that madness goes on.
How long have you been there for? Is that a new place for you?
3 years ago. Yeah. We, one of those guys we planned, when you have the biggest of plans, sometimes they're not meant to be. It's God's plan. We were going to build a house and all this stuff, and that fell through, which means this showed up, and thank goodness it did.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. Hey, today, when we were kind of in preparation for this, we were talking about what did we want to chat about. I feel like we could just come back each week and chat about stuff that this could be my imagination that might be valuable to the audience, but I'll run with that anyway there too. Yep. We have a lot of conversations on the podcast about new patient acquisition. Yep. And there's no doubt that it's important. And in fact, I think across the board, it's undervalued by us as chiropractors, as natural health professionals. We still live in this world of build it and they will come. Yep. Too. But we're going to switch gears today because I want to talk all about the importance of retention. It's the other side of marketing. And I'll often have guests on and they'll say things like, oh, look, we didn't do a lot of marketing. We focused on retention. I'm like, dude, that's marketing. Like, it's just a different avenue through there as well. You have extraordinary retention. We want to talk a little bit today about a book, Never Lose a Customer, what you've kind of implemented with regards to that as well. So can you take, if some of our newer listeners, before we dive into that, can you just give them a kind of 90-second snapshot, who you are, what you do, what your ace at?
Yeah, perfectly. And I'll sandwich it to the conversation today around retention. And a very important adjective for us, or descriptor, I don't know the right word there, but it is full family retention. So it's not just keeping, adult pain patients around. We are obsessed with the full family undercare for life. So
Yeah.
how we got to that obsession and then accomplishment of that is when I started, I did fall in love with marketing secondarily to after falling in love with the impact that we made with these kiddos. Specifically for us, we just early on flew head on into this thing called The Perfect Storm, which is a workshop I built in 2008 to tell the chiropractic science story around autism, ADHD, anxiety, just sick kids, right? Really struggling sick kids. So marketing wise, Angus, that sucker took off and it remains to today. But then for many years, I would put those kids on the initial care plan. It would take us between 3 to 6 months of, neuro restoration care to really experience miracles with those kiddos. The nonverbal spectrum kiddo who's talking and singing songs, and the ADHD kids off their meds and kicking butt and everything in between. And then they'd just up and go. They'd be like, we love you. So it was nuts. I thought I had skirted around the problem that everybody else has with pain-based practices in our world. Like, hey, the problem's gone, they're gone. And I was like, that problem won't be here in pediatrics. It was the same, verbatim, They love me. You'd see them in the community 3 years later and they'd be like, Johnny's still kicking butt and yada, yada. And it's like, well, he'd be kicking more butt, if we were still kicking his subluxation's butt. So that's about 7-8 years ago. And so many mentors along the way really helped me. Getting insurance out of the way was a big one, not necessarily today's conversation, but I had to get that out of the way because that is hey, they're gone and the problem's gone model. But then, last year we dialed in with Joey Coleman and we took I would say it was very much a Jim Collins good to great move with our retention. We took a really good retention-based practice and just turned it to great, and had fun doing it too. It didn't become laborsome and all that. So that's the pediatric. So we're known for the perfect storm. Kids with tough neurological challenges come in and that kind of has like a front-facing, I hate this, but it's what people think, like a treatment model.
Yes. And
then you come and you hang out with us. Students come and shadow all the time, or docs fly in and they're like, this is just family after family after family who tell me they've been there for 10 years and 8 years and 5 years. I want that. So I want that for the chiropractors. So I'm pretty stoked to break it down and be on your party again. And because it's cool to get them in the front door. It's cool to change their life forever. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you've got to get them in the front door for us to begin the process. And I always say, and it causes, I think 1 adjustment in your life is better than none, and 2 is better than 1, and 3 is better than 2. And the longer we can keep people under care, and it's no different from, the more often you exercise, the more often you keep your healthy life habits for, it just makes sense that it's part of what happens. I've always struggled with, if the child is the first one that comes into my practice and I begin with them, I always knew if I didn't get the rest of the family starting care in that first 12 weeks, I was going to have a real difficult time long-term with retention. It's part of why I'm really interested to chat with you today, because it's not, my retention with adults is great. I back myself there. I feel really confident about the care, but if I can't bring that next challenge over there too. So you talked about Joey Coleman, the name came up. He was the author of a book that was called Never Lose a Customer Again. Is that the right title?
It is. And then when he was breaking down with us, we had fun with it, just saying never lose a patient again.
Yes.
And it was phenomenal. Yeah.
Because you spent a lot of one-on-one time with Joey going through masterminding with this, yes?
Yeah, it was last year we had the opportunity through, a man that's meant the world to me with Dr. David Jackson and my time with Epic. And so he was going to come keynote at our event last year and just had incredible feedback. Joey did. And ahead of that, I think it was actually August of last year. So about a year ago this time for me, we did a big mastermind. 10 docs flew out, high ticket, high investment, which is actually a word I wrote down. I want to really just lovingly feed into people about how to get retention.
Yeah.
Same as marketing. You have to invest in it to get return from it. And we invest a lot into marketing, and then we run out of investment capital when it comes to retention, and away it goes. So yeah, I got to meet him in person, 2-day mastermind, found out he is a small town dude from Iowa.
Right.
Same. So we were kindred farmer spirits, right away. And what was so valuable about that, I had read the book and started to brainstorm and sketch on, how we all do, you start to write in the margins of a book and you have your notebook where you write it, but it's real easy for those little chicken scratches to never come to life.
Mm.
You got to have somebody to kind of, sizzle them up for you and flesh them out and make them better. And so we had that opportunity with Joey. So I flew home from this mastermind and it's a 4-hour flight from San Diego to Chicago. And I made a Google document. I know I'm being granular, but this is how it came to be.
Yeah.
And I listed 10 things, 10 new ideas that were retention investments to the practice that I wanted to bring to my team over the next 12 months. Kind of, bad math, but I wanted to accomplish one per month. I figured I would screw off for a month or so. Give myself a little room. And so that's
you got to play with the goats.
Yes. I don't do anything in summer except mow and drink IPAs and play with the goats.
Yeah, good work. I like it.
That's where I was. And just to be clear for everybody listening in, this is going to be what's the right word? This a super streamlined retention. There's some stuff to do before this, but a lot of things I think when people talk about retention, Angus, it gets boring for them. Because consistency is really the key to it. But these are things we now do consistently with flair, with fun. And that's one of the core values of our practice is fun. Just in case anybody missed it, I really realized how under-invested I was into retention. Money in that, I'm gonna break down the amount of money we spend per month for retention. Team, human capital was very under-invested, and then systems. Mm-hmm. Again, we had good, solid retention building systems, but we broke them down and then recreated them with a lot more sizzle to them. So those are the 3 areas that I realized I could invest more into my practice and expect more return.
But I've got a question for you. One of the things, I love new stuff. I get excited about new things, whether it be a new program, a new way of shooting a video. We get excited about the front door side of marketing. And when you start to talk about retention, really what that is about, that concept of us going kind of narrow and deep.
Yeah.
How do you keep excited about that? Where do you rally the energy from, as opposed to getting out there in front of another 30 or 40 new families, bring them in again? How have you managed to rally the energy for that?
That's a good, it's actually really hard. It was hard for me until I just kept thinking it out and writing it out. And it's the number one thing I wanted to drive across before we got into the 3 steps. So I thank you for asking that question, because I'm crazy and would probably fly past it, but I slow down to speed up. So we all are hooked on, the new patient that signs up at the workshop or clicks the offer and you get your email and they're in there. That's great. The day 2 conversion and the first adjustment, like that's we're like, give me more, yeah. And that's quick. That's sugar, that's like quick, that's a shot,
Yep.
And then these retention moves are total long game. Like they come in little chunks over time. And you have to be patient enough and visionary enough to see the long game. So here's mine, and I promise you it's going to land with a bunch of your listeners, and then there'll be slightly different, hopefully authentic versions for others. My number 1 goal for every kid and family we care for, and my number 1 huge, humongous goal for the profession and helping other chiropractors is to shift in 1 to 2 generations. So it'd be my kids or my if I suck at my job, it'll be my grandkids. All right. If I get it done better, it'll be my own kids, right?
Yeah.
Great grandkids, I guess I should say, would be if it takes longer. To have pediatric chiropractic as first choice for millions of families. Now, that can't be something that you change behavior so significantly for generations that you can get it done with just 12 visits or 36 visits, or heck, I don't even think 3 years of care. Yeah. So tactically, what we're doing is we want these kids to grow up all the way through their entire childhood, through to high school graduation, and then ask us to find one of their docs at the college they go to. So they grow up going to the chiropractor first for wellness and everything. Then when they, and this is a lot, but it takes a lot to go after a lot with retention. Then when they have their own kids, and I know right now there's this misuse of the term, the new normal. That's the new normal vision that I see. When these chiro kids who've had it not for 12 visits to get rid of their otitis media or 36 visits to get rid of their ADHD, they will grow up, have their babies, and stop by their chiropractor's office on the way home. And then that baby grows up with that being normal, not transformative, but just in them. And so to accomplish that, that's not 12 visits, not 36 visits. That kid needs to be under care with his whole family for life. And I want it to become almost just so ordinary that it's on autopilot.
Yeah.
You know, but you gotta make the experience extraordinary to get them to build it into their busy lives for the whole family forever.
What a vision. Yeah, that's exciting. I'm sitting here at the moment. I've actually got some tingles. I'm not a tingly kind of dude, I'm not one of those people, but I'm like, yeah, I get it. That's what, and it's clear that it's that kind of stuff because, you know, for anybody that knows Tony, he's just, you're an Energizer bunny. Like it's so infectious to be around you like this, to even kind of be engaging in your feed, that kind of stuff there too, buddy. It rubs off to all of us. Let's get into some tactics. That's our vision. That's where we're heading to. That's what kind of is narrow and deep. You said you had that weekend away. You've got your Google Doc. Can we start to talk about some of those 10 things that you wanted to kind of implement?
Yeah. So the first thing to start year 3, I think a lot of people are going to fall in love. They're fun. They're effective. They're wonderful. But to really do it for your practice, you probably won't want to go 3 for 3 on these. I just know that there'll be great lessons. Really what you do with Joey's book, and he's got some great downloadable worksheets on his website. Like the dude is a tactician. He's the best speaker I've ever seen in the way of getting you to implement. He's a teacher. He's like that professor you have who actually you enjoy the class because you know you're going to do it instead of just like memorize it and forget it.
Yeah.
So he takes you through the 8 phases. And so they all start with A. So I love that first and foremost because I teach in the 10 Ds, the 5 Ds, those things. So we're clipping along through his stuff and in his book. And the first, I'm going to kind of butcher this math, Angus, but the first 5 or 6 are marketing. So if you break the 10 down, the front third or so are really marketing, right?
Yes.
So catch their attention, do these sort of things. Your podcast is the best in the world at training bit by bit on how to do these front phases. Then the middle is, we would call it in chiropractic, everybody listening in natural, we'd call it conversion.
Yes.
Getting them to actually sign up and start and go through that process. So you got front, middle, day 1, day 2. And then the last couple of A words and stages or phases, I believe he calls them, are getting them to stick, become raving fans, and then refer everyone. So in our world, what you're looking for, Angus, specifically is how do you get them to love it so much that the full family comes in?
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Kid to full family, which is our exact goal too. We call it 3 in 30. We want to get the next 3 family members in 30 days.
Yeah, nice.
Right? If we start with a kid. And so here's where our first tactical one came up. I was going through it and I'm like, ooh, marketing, I've studied that like crazy. Ooh, pat on the back, we're pretty fancy. And I'm just, clipping along for these 5 or 6. And then I get to accomplishment. So in Joey's book, it's called accomplishment phase. Your customer, your patient has achieved exactly what they signed up and paid you to do, right? So you marketed to them. You said, here's your problem. You poked the bear. You caught their attention, captured it, got them in, converted them, got them to sign up, see the value, said, hey, here's what you're going to gain. Here's what you're going to get over. You did all this loss aversion. You got them across the finish line. And what I found in my practice is we'd have a mom over a progress report or, this is usually when these news would come, right? After a progress scan and report. And she'd be like, Hey, you wouldn't believe it. You know how he wasn't talking when we started? Yeah, he was singing nursery rhymes on the way here, and he's dropping all of his therapies, and they no longer diagnose him as autism, and he's going to sleep at night, and he's potty trained, and he's getting out of special education school, and he's mainstream classes, and oh, my marriage is back on, and we were going to get divorced, but now it's great. I'm having fun with this, but this stuff happens, right? This is regular, everyday news reported to us. And I'm going over the top because you know what we did prior to 2019 in our practice? Super great. High five. That's great. Awesome. Shoot, yeah. And that was it. It was the most lame ass celebration ever. So that's how we made it fun. Our team loves to celebrate. We celebrate our goals and our records and everything. So I know Joey calls it accomplishment. I reworded it to celebration phase. So we created these certificates. We created 3 different levels of certificates that we keep in our back office. And when it's visit 7 out of a 72 visit plan, that's kind of what we would term a random. They come in and the sensory kid who can get a haircut now or do a bath or is, we're on the way to the goals. And we give them a certificate, we get it to them, we give them a little prize. We have different prize buckets. They get little $5 to $10 gifts. Then there's another set of goals that when they hit a progress scan, there's a different certificate that is there that says, hey, let's celebrate. And then there's when their initial restoration phase is over and they're transitioning into wellness, they get a jazzed up diploma, a certificate of achievement, the exact word from his book, or certificate of accomplishment. And we give them a big present. We give them, teenagers who got over anxiety get a $25 iTunes gift card or Amazon. We give them stuff that is cool, right? Adults get coffee cards and, I'm not ashamed to say it, some booze and wine and, other sort of stuff to celebrate. And
stuff that they actually appreciate.
Exactly. Versus here's what Joey said. Don't give them a hat. Here's what, when we get close to this, we just screw it up because we give them a shirt with our name on it.
Yes. Yeah. Give them a drink bottle. So.
To celebrate you spending $3,500 and 60 visits of your time in here, I would like you to mark it for me. Congrats.
Yeah, it's funny.
We've all did it, right? And
totally.
He helped us there big time. And the last wrinkle on this for listeners to know, this is a cheat code. When you celebrate wellness and you give these cute, beautiful kids and people the award, you have your CA pull out the phone, take a picture, and you have the greatest social media marketing content ever to show testimonials with the most smiley award picture holding. So we doubled down. I realized so this was first on the list. As soon as we started to celebrate an award, we not only saw our retention take off because these people had buy-in. They're like, that's what we came here for. You recognized it. You listened. It's those life victories. Well, that's what everybody who's not in our practice yet is looking for.
Yeah.
So we take a picture. It's on social media. Now we've got double to triple the amount of testimonials in the library and in the bank that we were looking for. Because a lot of people know they need to do more testimonials. They're not capturing enough of them. This celebration phase forces the testimonial capture.
Is there any hesitancy on behalf of the patients in these situations for them to engage? Is it, hey man, can we take a photo? Can we pop this on our socials? How does that system work?
You know what's the beauty of it is they're not anymore. Because the award, I guess I haven't really thought of that until you asked that. Because the award and the gift, I don't know that the right word is gift, but they feel even more inclined to take that picture and celebrate. And the CAs, so we do this pre-huddle. We have our progress reports. We have the victories that we know are coming. On Slack, we have a wins channel where everybody just knows, hey, mom told me about this. And so we're constantly capturing and sharing these. So when the gift is given, we come out in the waiting room and the whole team celebrates and high fives and jumps in the picture with the kid. It's a big, big, big deal.
Yeah. And there's that, I've got to imagine there's an enormous sense of almost reciprocity from them to want to. I've got a question for you. The gifting and stuff in this process, is it relatively random, i.e. the patient doesn't know when they're going to get stuff?
Big time, big time. The only one that has non-randomness to it is when they finish their initial care plan.
Yeah.
You know, and you're doing it. That's a whole special visit for us with the Reportify. Honestly, that's my least favorite one because it's kind of expected. So what we always wrote down is from Joey, and he said this exactly either in the book or similar to, so this is full credit to Joey. The two rallying cries we have around our retention systems are make the ordinary extraordinary, and then also always gun for the unexpected surprise.
Yes. Yeah. The reason I ask about the unexpected, I mentioned to you beforehand, I'm reading a book at the moment called Thinking in Bets.
Yeah.
And they talk about in their little study they did with some mice where, you know, they kind of stamp on a little lever there. And if they stamp on it every 10 stamps, it kind of gives them a reward. Then if they stop the reward, they get used to every 10, they stop the reward. They don't continue for very long. If they make the reward random, you know, it's after 3, it's after 30, it's after 2, it's after 17, they will continue to stomp on that thousands of times afterwards. So it's such great in terms of wanting to encourage a behavior of a sense of anticipation, what's about to happen. This is always exciting, a level of randomness, and not having these type of gifts happen just on big progress visits, you know, spacing. Brilliant, buddy. Brilliant.
Right. Have everybody put it in your notes as celebrate the small stuff.
Yes.
That's what will throw people for the best of curveballs. When you make the biggest deal out of the kid getting a haircut, the kid trying new foods, the kid sleeping through the night, like, because to the parent in living that life day to day, those are actually huge things, but they actually don't almost tell people a lot because they're like, well, this is so small. I'm going to be parent guilted for thinking that's a big deal. Oh, do you know some kids are starving over here? You know, stupid parent stuff, right? And so when you celebrate the small stuff, and we do this with our adult patients too. They get the job promotion. We're so invested in their life. These are life celebration awards. They're not, I love that analogy. You nailed it. That would be in chiropractic. That would be like every 12 visits, you just assign them a gift because they hit the 12th visit.
Yeah.
No, not how to do it.
So at this level one of our listeners, when you're thinking about how am I going to implement this, sit down with your team. And I think the first thing is to start to capture those really magic moments there, you know, as a team, bring them together. And then a lot of this can be, let's, you know, go to wherever, buy a bunch of different gifts, spend $300-400, get your gift cards, get your things, that kind of stuff there too. And whether you even go to the certificate phase, just these, you know, the lucky, who doesn't love a lucky dip? You know, that side of things, whatever it's a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old. But this is a relatively easy thing, gang, for you to implement like tomorrow.
We've systemized it. If you can get this picture of it, there is from Office Max or whatever it is, there's a little 3-stack thing in the front office. It's got the 3 different awards, a label maker that says, way to be awesome. That's the random one. The progress report one and the graduation one.
Yes.
Right next to it is 3 bins that have the 3 tiers of gifts.
Yes.
So the $5 to $10 ones, the $25 ones, and then the bigger ones that are, like, you know, the big graduation certificates and those things. And so it's at the pre-huddle, the team goes in and says, these 3 kids have this going on. Let's get them an award. They're filled out. The gift is selected. So it takes 3 more minutes on top of the adjustment because we're a busy flipping practice. So we had to systemize the randomness.
Yes.
And we did.
Yeah. And I've got to imagine a lot of that then is all managed by the staff. You've adjusted the person. Do you tend to do it pre or post adjustment?
Post. Always kind of post adjustment. So we'll come out, the staff is ready, so that the staff sends them into the room. The team knows, hey, you know, Angus is getting an award today. He's got a fresh new haircut. He's looking wonderful on here, you know. And so we go in and so they're going to get adjusted. They have the certificate and the award right there. There's a little zone with our shiplap wall. I mean, it's calculated out, right? We know where the beautiful pictures are taken, the portrait mode. There we go. And then that CA takes the photo. We already have the release in our new patient paperwork. So we know we don't take photos of somebody who didn't give us a release, plain and simple. And so the release is there. The photo is there. It goes on Slack. Our social media team gets the picture with the little write-up of what's going on with the kid that night, or within 48 hours, it's on social media.
Great. And are you there for that photo if you've got next patient, or are you just there, celebrate, high fives, hugs, off you go?
Most half and half. Half the time we're able to get in on that picture. And sometimes we're like, hey, you got to go up front and see Nikki. She's got a big award for you. And then we love to show our CAs too. So they're a part of making these miracles happen in the biggest ways. So if a doctor can't be in the picture, the CA or an intern or somebody jumps in and, thumbs ups with them.
Yeah.
And they're much better looking than we are anyways. So for the PR component, us in the middle of a shift running around, it's like, no, you go there.
It's funny. You talk about me having had a haircut and stuff like that. I had to think this morning before I got on, because often for these episodes, I will have one of your brother's t-shirts on. I went,
yep.
I know that you will have one on today. If I had one on, I've got my hair cut short and a bit of beardage happening here too. It'd be like Angus is really trying to be like Tony here. So
we should have been twinning. We could have we do this at the office all the time. We wear the above down apparel shirts. Yeah.
I should have. I love your brother's t-shirts. If only there was a way that it didn't cost me $100 to get them across here. I just need to order like 20 of them. The shipping for 20 is the same as it is the shipping for one. So
he's a traveling man. I know he loves to go. So as soon as this whole world is lifted, I was like, dude, just pack up 4 suitcases yourself, spend a month over there, and save him the shipping.
Yeah, he's a whiz. Okay, so we've implemented that strategy where we're randomly gifting and acknowledging. Yep. And some of them are random and some of it progress reports. Tony's pretty much laid out for you absolute point for point how to do that too. What else can we do to improve retention?
Second event. And again, this idea came by analysis. So I said it before that first one, but you're looking for your weak spots, because your weak spots are your opportunity to impress people by making what was normally ordinary or weak and making it strong and extraordinary. That gets noticed. So for us, it kind of goes to marketing to then become retention. We're an event-driven practice, is how I always like to say it, which is why COVID forced some serious adaptation to us. Yep. We already did a lot online, but we did a lot in person too. I would host, always have, for 13 years running. I've done at least 2 to 3 workshops, which call them what they are. They are 100% intended to get new patients in the door. Our social media, our community connections, our patient referrals, they know that if somebody's not ready to just call us and come in, they know to send them to the event. Our workshops have been our bridges, as I call it, forever into the practice.
Yep.
Well, I realized that our already existing patients, a lot of them came in through an event and they had a hell of a good time because we put on good events. We pick out great restaurants, great places, everything else. So we were event week for our wellness patients. And the number one way to get your patients, to get families to stick with you forever, is to instill a sense of community into them. Yeah. But have them feel like they belong to something different, unique, and bigger than themselves. That vision I went on before, that's shared with them, by the way. Every single one. That isn't just for these Chiro and doctor chats. That is shared pretty early in the process with parents especially. And that's why we get so excited about keeping them around. So what we decided to do was, again, invest. So every single month, we put on an event, a fun wellness sort of event, not lame. Again, write down, not lame.
Yes.
My only criteria, just not lame. Like it's not at the library. It's not backpack safety checks. It's so think what chiropractors do. Don't do that. Do what cool people do. All right. Yeah. And it's
the cheapest, nastiest restaurant in town that we would never take our own families to, but let's take my practice family and potential new people into this crappy place where we can fill up on shitty carbs. So,
and then when the person who runs the shitty restaurant says, well, what menu item would you like? You're like, whatever is the cheapest at your
yes.
restaurant, right? Yeah. So we're the opposite. We spend about, to just be on it, we spend between $1,000 to $1,500 per event on the venue and the food and everything else to it. But I mean, the return is amazing. Yeah. Now, here's where people will get tripped up again. I'm specifically talking about an event that is for your existing patients. I care nothing about getting new patients from this one time per month. So we set a goal of 1 a month. I put a team and a CA, a doctor and a CA in charge of it. We made them the captains of wellness because I'm the marketing guy. So this wasn't going to fit in my bandwidth. So we designated team to it, had them buy into the vision and get excited. They had buy-in process because they get to come up with the creative and the ideas. This little side note cheat code too for everyone, always at least 2 out of 3 of these, co-host them with some of your phenomenal professional business connections in the community, because now you're exposing your tribe to them and vice versa. So it becomes, you're building community within your connections as well.
Give me an
We
example.
do 12 a year. Yep.
Who might be one of those kind of professional
So
partners?
in our world, if it's maybe centered around pediatrics, it's the pediatric PT, OT, sensory people that we work with. It's our essential oil moms that are, kind of want to get in. So in Valentine's Day, we did a make and take, gift. We had the kids come in, and this is all them. We don't do any of this in the practice, but this is their business. And so we had them come in and do like one of those, what do they call them? Oil parties.
Yes.
Where they make them and made them. And then they were gifts for their parents, for their mom, for Valentine's Day, same thing. Christmas time. The Christmas one is the one I'll give you the best event on. We call it our holiday market. We all have patients moms who just on the side sell oils, sell little signs, reclaim wood on Etsy and all these things. And so we rent a beautiful spot. We have a market, and they come and they set up a booth, and they're vendors. And now kids can come in, or parents and families, they get their Christmas shopping done. We set up we have one of our patients who's a family photographer. We rent Santa. Sorry, kid, just kidding. Santa flies in for this. Okay.
Yes.
He flies in. He's so excited about it. Busy time of the year, but he makes time for it. And he comes in and we take pictures. We give him hot chocolate, organic, of course. And it's phenomenal to celebrate and instill community into our patients. So 1 per month, get creative, have fun, love on your patients, use your community connections for it, and away you go.
Great. So some of those events are at the practice, some of them on site, some of them off site, depending on what you're doing.
Yep.
I know it because my gorgeous wife, Lauren, does some similar stuff at her practice there. And the perfume making, the oil making, they're gangbusters. Like, we sell out. It's standing room. People go on a waiting list to get into those. And sometimes people go, what's that kind of got to do with chiropractic? And I go, like, nothing. And that's the point of it. But you know what? It builds community. It builds relationship. It's fun. And that's what it's about there too. I think sometimes we bore our patients to death. Enough already. Let's just break bread. Let's have community. Beautiful.
None of our wellness events have anything to do with the spine or the nervous system or whatever on their marketing, but you better believe we sneak it in, right? If need to, if there's a little presentation or those sort of things, but most of the time they don't. And actually the beauty cheat code to that, my favorite phrase, right? The cheat code, you do one thing and you actually intentionally get kind of like 3 positive side effects from it, kind of like an adjustment, is there. We always then get to outsource all the wellness, nutrition, oil stuff. I don't like to spend a single second talking about anything other than the nervous system in my practice. I'm not a hate straight. I'm just an efficiency obsessed person. I know that inside those 4 walls is the only time they're going to hear those stories. So I don't want to talk to them about nutrition, supplementation, and essential oils. So once a month, but I have a patient maybe who needs to hear about some of that stuff, we've got these events, we've got these community connections, and it's like, hey, around your adjustment, we're going to stay focused on talking about your nervous system. But next Thursday night, we've got this really cool event here in the practice. It's on us. Why don't you come check it out?
Yeah. And if you were doing a nutrition class, for instance, someone was talking about that, will you cater for that as well?
Yeah.
What do you do to make that event kind of bigger than just someone standing up talking about food?
You know what? It's what happens with a lot of those organically. We work it into the conversation a little bit, but they're such fun. They have a lot of sizzle to these events, and there's a lot of good value. They're going to go home with the kit. They're going to go home with things like, there's always some sort of action step that Dr. Matt really runs these for us. And that's on the checklist when we design them. There's got to be a take home. They're going to go home with an action step and an actual item that makes their life better. Okay. So it's fun and it's engaging, but we want to actually make their life better too. Yes. When they see that in the marketing, they almost always bring friends. they almost always bring somebody who they've been trying to get to come see you anyways. And guess what happens at every one of these not looking for new patients events?
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them sneak their way into the schedule. So that, to me, that pays for the bison burger. Now, I'll have fun as this one. Those oils, though, good Lord, are we in the wrong industry? You oil people listening are going to be like, ha-ha, suckers in chiropractic. I told you, we, on each of these things, we decided that the lady who runs them, she's always been trying to get me on the chart. I don't know where I would go. And I got no interest. I'm not against any of it. I just don't have time to
Totally.
to do it, right? Yeah. And so I was like, hey, you bring all the stuff, make it for all these kiddos, and just give me the tab.
Yeah.
And I would get one, and Christina gets the tab. It was like $2,100 in oils, 3 drops at a time. So when you hear me talk about the oil event, know what you're getting into, okay?
Well, and I know firsthand because we do those same things. And, our house is full of them. I've often posted different times. I didn't think I would get to this stage. One of the highlights of my day is choosing what my essential oil blend is going to be over the background. So I love it. And it's just another thing to celebrate with our patients. So we're going to start kind of having more events at our practice. And again, I want to really double, click on this here too, gang. The events, as Tony talked about, the wellness event is not going to be for the wellness patients. It's not about just beating more chiropractic into them. No. Although there are going to be moments where you're going to thank and acknowledge, and of course there'll be opportunity for you to edify the impact and importance of chiropractic. But it's a celebration for your patients there as well. So we're more events. We've got more kind of acknowledgement with fun and gifts and certificates, those kind of things there too. The third thing that you implemented as well?
The last wrinkle on the events, people who, I grew up in a small town. You did not miss the 4th of July parade. You did not miss the pancake fly-in breakfast at the airport. You did not miss these community events that were on the calendar every year.
Yes.
So I forgot to kind of close that loop. They are the cheat code to instilling community, because now my patients who've been with me for years, they can't wait for the holiday market. They'll be like, hey, is that lady with the candles going to be there? Is the local honey vendor going to be there? I want to get that for some of my family. They are now adhered to PwC, our practice, for life, because we bring this to them. So that's one of the components there. The third one.
Can I ask a question just before we go? When you run your little kind of market, do you do that at the practice in the car park? Have you got space for that? Or
it didn't work, and that's winter too. It didn't work. We did the first couple of years, but we've outgrown it. So we have this super cool meeting space where I do a bunch of my workshops. That picture where the training was with Two Hill and those guys the last couple of weeks, this beautiful reclaim. It's a chocolate shop down below, a coffee shop, and then they have a meeting room upstairs. So we also obviously have their chocolate. It's like charcuterie. People, write that down too. I don't know if over there, people just, every event just have charcuterie. You're going to have $1 million practice by next year. It's unbelievable. I don't like it, but charcuterie is the #1 patient retention move you could ever move. I'm going to write a book on it.
How can you go wrong with kind of prosciutto, cheese, olives if you're into them? Winner. And
then wine and beer.
Yes, of course.
You gotta have that. So.
You got to wash it down with something.
Totally. All right. Well, number 3 was, and this one is going to pull people out of their boots if you want to do it, but man, the value has been there. Chiropractors love to run lean and mean, right? And we're like, how about I just build $1 million practice with me and a part-time CA? And it's tough, I've never been that way. I've wanted my freedom with my family and everything else. So this already fits my MO. But we realized that during our busy shifts, our CAs were busy. And there wasn't the amount of time in their moment to moment to be able to really connect and enter that life and understand what's going on with those. It's automated check-in, and yes, we have text service where they're not on the phone so much. So I'm doing everything I can tech-wise to keep my front desk CAs free and ready to just smile at people and greet people and get to know them. But we run about on our 4 doctor busy days, we run about 300 people through on a day. And so if we only had 2 CAs on up front at the time to do that, they were both busy. One kind of on greeting and one on air traffic control. Right?
Yep.
So all I did was we added to our 4 busiest shifts. You don't need this on your non-busy shifts. We added what we call a connection CA, whose job literally for those 4 to 5 hours, they don't touch Chiro Touch. They're not checking people in. They're not doing financial reports. They're not even answering the phone. Yeah. They just float around the waiting room and talk to people.
Yeah.
They literally pull up a chair. How are you? Hey, this remote learning sucks. Tell me about it. What do you need? The gift moment. You know who finds all the random stuff we're talking about with the awards? This connection CA.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
That's how you find it, because adjustments are pretty quick and sometimes that doesn't come out. So the connection CA goes around and is literally just pouring into our people, sitting down, talking to them. She knows all the upcoming events and those things. So there's a little bit of that to it, but they're just there to love on people during the shift. And that one, by the way, took some real salesmanship on my part to get approval from the QuickBooks manager of the practice, right? To be like, you want to pay somebody $20 an hour to just talk to people? And I was like, I do, I think. It sounds different when you say it that way. To love on people, I get to know them and celebrate them. And so we have that connections. And it's our expressive, her name's Nikki. She's a hairdresser. And I'm going to say this with all the love in the world. You know what she sucks at anyways? Keeping track of things on a computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's that human who we all have who is meant to go out and be social. And so she just pours into people, and it's a little thing you can do. Docs at home, I would just try it. Take your 1 or 2 busiest shifts. You know what those are. Monday night, Wednesday night, I don't know. Take your busiest shifts, add a CA. So let's say it's 8 to 10 hours a week, 15 to $20. You're not spending a lot of money here. And when there isn't somebody to connect to, they can help out with other things. So it's, but it's proven insanely valuable to us to really see them pour into people.
Yeah, man, there's some meat and potatoes in this episode there as well. So I'm going to see if I can do a little bit of a sum up for our crew and see if I've kind of got it there too. One of the things that you realized in you and with your practice there too is just, to some extent, and with the utmost respect, how front loaded it was. And that you did such a brilliant job at inspiring people to take action, converting them into kind of seeing the wonders of chiropractic. They'd get those great results. And with that 6, 9, 12, 18 months, they end up kind of disappearing. And that's when you kind of acknowledge okay, what's my vision? It's lifetime. I've got to kind of sink into the back end. The 3 big things that worked for you were really this idea of acknowledging people. Gifts, some of them random, and then some of them on things like those kind of, the graduation visit, progress exams, those kind of things there. All of which, what I love is it's all systematized.
It is.
It's not you that's doing all of it there too. You really double down on the events, again, not just to drive people into the practice, but also, again, to make sure that you are acknowledging and rewarding those people that are lifers with you. And then third is this concept of the connection CA as well. Have I missed anything, buddy?
No, those are the things. And again, to just those that are going to pick up Joey's book and go through it, these are really 3 moves that beef, even his 8 steps, they're intended to really strengthen 6, 7, and 8. Because again, to get to the vision of the entire family under care, when you just wow and celebrate that kiddo, you invite the child's family to the event that month, and you have the connection CA sitting, talking to that mom, 8 out of 12 of her visits. Guess who she's really, really getting to know? The mom. We already have the kid under care. We know everything going on with them. So the referrals that are generated from that more than pay for this whole thing on its own. And again, there's 7 more, and there's stuff before that. This is so bad. Angus, I need your help finding whoever owns a shorter URL, but my tech team will beat me, and we'll put it, I'll give it to you.
I'll have it in the show notes. Yeah.
We've got a handout on it that breaks it down after the pediatric experience and all that. But it is just so fun. A lot of times, if you can imagine, I'll close my kind of storyboard of it. If you can imagine after, chiropractors and docs listening, you read books all the time. You listen to podcasts all the time. You go to seminars all the time, and they inspire and invoke ideas. And you're on fire and you're excited. Then you come home and you tell your team, I want to add more to what you already do. And they drop like a turd emoji and they never see the light of day, right? So tactically what I did with this is I knew how big these were going to be. So I had to get their buy-in. So I actually spent an entire half day kind of redoing what Joey did for me. I spent 4 hours with the CAs, and I had these ideas in my notebook, but I gave them, and this is you can use this for everything. I gave them about 1/4 to 1/2 of it, and I let them form up the rest with it in a brainstorm meeting and in a session. Now they had ownership and excitement and buy-in to the idea, because Angus is right. I'm not doing any of this really, okay? We set it in motion, and it's in motion and systemized. And so the team component of it is that. And Docs, a lot of time you're coming in like a raging bull, trust me, I know that. And you want your team to add these 3 things or the 3 ideas you have listening in, get them involved, get them on the vision. They got to see what this is actually going to create, same as you, and then you'll get it in spades more than you ever could imagine.
Yeah, beautiful. I think for many people, I'm hoping this is going to be a multiple listen.
Yeah.
Buddy, I want to shift off tab for a moment there too. Tell us a little bit about, because you do a lot of teaching of this stuff, and then you've recently kind of opened up your own little kind of pediatric experience too, which is, Lauren and I both have access to, and it's, dude, you're so freaking detailed on this stuff.
Yeah.
Tell our listeners, if you want more of this stuff, and if you're really serious about looking after kids and you want somebody to help you, then you need to kind of check out Tony's stuff. Can you tell them a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to get the kind of like stinky thing out of the way. It's $195 for a practicing doc per month, and it's $95 for the membership for a startup. And we're about 1/3 startups, because I'm just so young and killing it on Instagram, Angus, that's where people hang out. But the truth is, we really reinvented, because our wellness, this is wellness to me. I want people in our membership for life, because here's the one thing you're going to get with our membership that is completely unique to a lot of others. Oh, well, your community influencer one is exactly the same, because you keep doing it. I keep doing it. We keep doing it. I actually started this thing called the Pediatric Experience Membership with a team of 7. A startup with 7 people on the team. My docs and my CAs, my core CAs that are there. Every day, we are innovating, working, improving our practice. The 3 things we just gave you, we'll do that again next month, right? And so nothing grows stale with the pediatric experience. And I had some phenomenal, I get to go fly at places. I made a course in the past, and it drove me crazy that there wasn't lingering implementation opportunity to that. There was pizzazz, and there was fire, and there was jazz, and there was excitement. And then it all just stayed in a notebook, or it got stale as the world would change. So the pediatric experience has core content you nailed it, buddy. I wish I could show them. I know it's a podcast, in the most detailed, organized. Now that's called Christina. I'm married into organization.
Nice work,
right? If I built that sucker, it would be 88-hour one video.
Yes.
I would just drink coffee and just keep talking for 88 hours. And I'd be like, y'all got that, right? And it's not. It is segmented. We call ourselves the Framework Company. Every video you watch, you download a 5-step PDF. We send you, I shouldn't steal the thunder, but we send you something in the mail so that when you're done with the video program, which you're never done with because we keep training every Tuesday, you can put it on your shelf. The goal of it, and I'll wrap it out to this, it's online, it's video. There's an app with Kajabi, which I believe is an Australian company.
It's an Australian name. It is US based, but Kajabi is an Indigenous Australian word. Yes.
That's why it's so connected there.
Yeah.
So their platform is beautiful. You can, in one click, find it on your laptop. There's an app. We made all of our videos so that you can watch them on the go. They're very podcast-ish for a lot of it. And then I really want everybody to have this thing as a living, breathing, modern pediatric, prenatal, and family practice textbook. So imagine if you could buy the most badass pediatric chiropractic textbook, and every single Tuesday it was updated. That's the pediatric experience. And you can find it at thepediatricexperience.com because some schmuck that I can't find owns the px.com, so I can't buy it out from him. And every time I write out our own URL, I'm like, oh, I got time for all these letters. So thepediatricexperience.com, dude, it's a membership. There's no contracts. You know what? If you think we're lame, jump out, but jump in. It's badass, and it's going to change the world. So when we get 1,000, we're already up to 350 in 4 months since we opened in the middle. It's insane. We're going to get to 1,000, then 5, then 10, because we get enough of us doing all the things we talked about on the podcast and in there. Then there's enough kids and families who grow up with pediatric chiropractic first. Then they have their babies, and those babies are born into a chiropractic first world. And in a generation or two, we're not swimming upstream like we are right now.
Yeah. Hey, dude, again, I'm excited to finish this because I want to run up and grab Lauren and bring her down here and go, listen to this. We need to start doing this with our practices. And thank you for all that you do. I love the way your brain works. I'm so thankful that there are people like you in the world that have the focus, the intelligence to be able to pull all this together. And I know part of it too, let me acknowledge all of your team and family as well that help you do this. Because I know that is the case there too, is that behind you there are a lot of really great people, and I want to thank them also too. Buddy, thank you so much for sharing today. This is full of 40,000 foot view right down to kind of in the weeds there as well, where people can start to implement out of this. I'll make sure I link to the pediatric experience. And then did you say as well, there's a little PDF that we can link to as well?
Yep, I wrote out these 3 steps as kind of a quick little PDF, just some of the notes on them. There's some screenshots of like kids getting the awards, so you can get a visual of the. I know some people are, audio learners but visual learners. Yes. So I'll have that up by the time this sucker goes. Our tech team will have it up. Great. And it's a PDF that I'll have that on there.
Hey, dude, love you more than I know how to kind of articulate in this situation as well. Thank you for all that you do, and I can't wait till we get to hang out in person sometime soon. So take care. Keep rocking.
Thanks, everybody.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me on over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.